Alright, once you're booted into ArchLinux, the first thing you generally want to do is check to see if you have any internet. So there's a couple ways you can do this. You can press IP space A, and it should show your interfaces, and you want to check not your low, but your E and P if you're using Ethernet, or it'll be W and P if you're using Wi-Fi. We can see that it is up and that it has an iNet address, so that means we're probably good, but we can just check with ping, google.com, and we should get some data back. But I've been having trouble with that within this VirtualBox for some reason. So Control-C to quit that, but generally that'll work with your machines and other machines in general. So we can always just double check with our Pacman. So I'm going to try and update our database, which is something that we have to do anyways, to download a couple scripts. So we're going to do Pacman minus capital SYY, and everything seems to be working good. Let's wait for that to finish updating. Alright, and once that's updating, we're going to download a script called pacman contrib. So pacman minus capital S, pacman contrib. And this has a script that we need so that we can sort through our mirrors and get the quickest ones for our region. Alright, and so once we have that, we just need to copy our current mirror list so that we can create a backup of it. And this will allow us to refine the fastest ones so we don't lose anything if we move to a different place and need other mirrors for other reasons. So we're going to call it mirrorlist.backup. I want to make sure we spell everything right. Alright, and so now we can use our rank mirrors function, which will basically sort through all the mirrors, test them for their speed, and come out with a list of the fastest ones. So we're going to use -n because you only need about 6 of these. And we're going to use our backup list to do this. And we want to output it into our actual mirror list so that Pacman knows to use only the fastest ones. Like so. And this could take a second. Alright, and once our mirror list is been updated, we can take a peek at it to see that it has been shortened. There you go, look, we only have 6 mirrors, which is about what we need. So then we just need to update our Pacman database again to use the new mirror list. And then we'll be ready to partition our actual computer, our hard drive. And so for our partitions, we're going to use cfdisk as a graphical partition program. All right. So we use cfdisk. And so we have 4 partitions. And here we have some Windows recovery time, the FE system, Microsoft Reserved, and the Microsoft Basic Data. So this is the actual main root partition of the Microsoft OS. And this FE system, we want to keep track of this number, which is number 2, because we're going to be using this to boot Windows. And so we need to make sure that Grub knows that that's there. So here you can actually make a root partition. You could do root partition, your home partition, boot partition, all that you want. Any partition schema you desire. We're just going to make ours a single root partition to make it simple. You know, so add swap or what have you. YS to save it because it's also a Linux file system, so we are good in the type. And then we're ready to put an actual file system on it. So we're going to do ext4 and put that onto our /dev/sda5, which is the one that we just made. All right. Excellent. And so then we just want to grab our FE partition as well. We want to remember what that is. So it is SDA2, the small 99 megabyte ones, because we're ready to start mounting. So we're going to mount /dev/sda5 into our mount folder. Right. And then we're going to make a directory for our FE folder, which we're going to call FE. And then we want to mount our FE partition onto that folder that we just created. All right. Now let's be okay to list our block devices, and everything looks mounted. So we're looking like we're good to start pack strapping the main system. So this is a pretty big one because we need to pack strap our slash mount partition with Linux firmware, base, and base devil. So this might take a moment, so I'm going to pause the video and let this download. Oh, yeah, make sure pack strap is what we want. All right, and it's going. All right, and so now that that big install is complete, we are ready to generate our fstab file. So we're going to generate our fstab. We're going to use the -U option, and we're going to use our /mnt as the root directory, and we want to put it into our mnt's etsc fstab file. Nope, put my slash backwards. There we go. All right, excellent. And so now we have our fstab set up and our base system in there. We are ready to arch chroot into our mounting directory. All right, and now we just need to do another sort of big one this time as well. We're going to be downloading some networking tools and also some stuff for grubbing and grub and boot up. So for the grub, we're going to do grub fe boot manager. We also need OS prober so that we can see our Windows 10. We're going to get M tools and Linux headers. Or sorry, yeah, Linux headers. That is correct. Oh, and also DOS FS tools as well is our other one. Almost forgot that one. All right, and so this is another long one, so we're going to let it do its thing. I'm also going to just download Vim and some networking things as well. We're going to just do netctl and DHC PCD since we're going to be running this off Ethernet. If you want to do Wi-Fi stuff, there's a couple other packages that we could be using. And with that, we might as well download those as well. So for the Wi-Fi, we're going to download Network Manager, Applet, and Dialog, WPA Supplicant, and that should be good. Alright, and we're going to go ahead and enter to set this download. The default's good, and Y, yes. Alright, now that is done, there's one other package I forgot we need to download for the internet. It's the if plug D. It's pretty small, so that should take just a second. Alright, excellent. So, now we have all the packages we need. The next step is to just set up our grub to boot up our machine. So first thing we want to do is we want to do a grub install. We want to do it slightly different because we're booting into a UEFI machine. And so for this we want to set our target architecture to x86 underscore 64 dash FE. It's very important. Then our FE directory is going to be that /FE folder that we created and mounted our FE directory to. Then we need to tell it that our bootloader ID is equal to grub. Alright, double check everything looks good. Oops, one thing we forgot that I forgot, this needs to be an equal sign. And excellent, so that's looking good. So hopefully everything goes off without a hitch. Alright, excellent. So now we have our grub install. We're ready to make our grub configuration file. And if we did everything right, it should work fine, and it should discover our Windows 10 boot operating system. So that will be good. All right, great. And so now we have our Windows Boot Manager. All right, so now that's the most basic steps. Now all we need to do is just exit, and we're ready to reboot, and hopefully it works. Um, I've been having a lot of trouble actually getting this to work in the virtual machine. It used to work, but now it seems to just boot right past grub for some reason. But I have tried this install on a machine, and it totally worked. So we're just going to do a reboot now, and we should end up in grub if everything went well. Now, if you're in your machine and you change your boot order to boot out of the disk, wonderful. You might need to turn your computer off and take the disk out. But since our boot order is underneath the disk, it wasn't a problem. All right, and so it looks like the rebooting worked. Only thing is we forgot to set up a password. So there's no way to get into this machine really. Well, what we can do, and what we're going to have to do, is I'll show you a good fix if this ever happens to you, or if you miss any other crucial step. You can turn your machine off, and we go into VirtualBox, and we just want to, basically what we're going to do is we're just going to load it back up, and we're going to boot into our ISO, our Arch Linux ISO, where we can chroot into the machine and fix it all up. So this is a good time to check to see if our Windows Boot Manager worked. Looks like everything's running fine because we just turned it off and turned it back on. But so if you had already put your password in, you're ready to do whatever you need to do with your machine. But for those of you who are interested, I will continue booting and put my password in and show you how that's done. Move to device, and we're going to get into our VBox again, CD-ROM. All right, and so we're back into our install medium, and so if we look, we still got our whole system, everything that's in SDA5 right there is set up. So the only thing we need to do is we need to mount /dev/SDA5 into our MNT. Once it is mounted, for good measure, we could mount into /dev/SDA2. Mount this into our FE folder. Alright, and then we can chroot into it, into our mount. And because the only thing we did was forget a password, we just need to run this password step, which will create our root password. Once we set that, right, it worked. You go do this to remake your grub file if something went wrong, if you want to change something in your installation. There's lots of stuff you do. This is a great way to fix your system. There's much better ways out there, but this works in a pinch. So that'll be it for today because we already rebooted and we know that it works. All you got to do is just exit, shut down, and we are going to go ahead and do one final thing in our VirtualBox. We are just going to take a snapshot. Arch install dual boot success. Alright.